It's TK Friday and it's time for another full edit. Hello everyone and welcome to the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. Thank you for joining me again today. Today's image comes to us from Andres Julie Owl. Thank you, Andres, for the use of your beautiful image. Now, as always, you can download the image and the PDF notes and give this edit a try. It's a great way of learning how to incorporate the TK9 plugin for Photoshop into your Photoshop workflow. Now, to download the image and PDF notes, go to the description of this video, click on More, scroll down through, and you will find Dropbox links for the image as well as the PDF notes. And if you have an image you would like me to edit on a TK Friday, scroll down a little further and you're going to find a Contact Me link. Click on that Contact Me link and we can discuss doing one of your images on a TK Friday. I'd love to hear from you. By the way, if you don't yet own the TK9 plugin for Photoshop, I'll have a link in the description below this video that'll take you over to the TK web store. You can use my promo code DK15 and save 15% off your entire purchase. There's training videos over there from Sean Bagshaw, as well as some free panels. And also, check out the TK Magic Mixer plugin. It's great for making black and white conversions, as well as working with color images. It's only $10. It's a really great value. So check that out. Check out all the training videos. When you use my promo code DK15, not only do you save 15% off, but you're supporting the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly because I make a small commission, and this helps me to keep my videos coming your way. So thank you for using my promo code DK15. All right, then let's jump into this edit. Now, as always, I'm starting out here in Lightroom, and today I am using another adaptive profile. I'm experimenting with them, and I think it works out nicely on this image. Now, as far as the adjustments, I just did very minimal adjustments. I did a white balance adjustment, just opened up the exposure a little bit, not much, no contrast, pulled back on my highlights, opened up the shadows slightly, made sure that my white and blacks were not clipping, as you can see by the histogram here. Now, as far as detail, this is a very low ISO image, so I'm doing no noise reduction, no sharpening. And then for lens corrections, I always check on remove chromatic aberration as well as enable profile corrections. And then for a crop, no crop really. I just made sure the image was straight, and that is it. And now at this point, I just right-click on the image, go to Edit In, and click on Edit in Photoshop 2025. Now here we are inside of Photoshop. Now the first thing I want to do is do a balance and contrast of sky and foreground. It's my starting point, and I always like to try the BNC landscape Photoshop action just to save some time. It doesn't work because when it selects the sky, it selects part of the water, which is a problem, so we can't use it. We have to do it the long way. So here's the first step, and this will be a good brush up for you. What we want to do is come to the Converse Helix panel, click this button to select the sky, and as you can see, when I select the sky, it selects part of the water. So we can fix that, and I'll show you what we can do. We can subtract out this area of the water, so grab your marquee tool, just click on it, and set the feather for 15 pixels. You can just type in 15 and then hold down your Alt or Option key, find where the water meets the land, like right about here, and then click and drag while holding down that Alt or Option key, drag it to the edge, release your mouse, and now as you can see, we subtracted out the water from the sky. Now come up to the multi-mask panel and click this button right here. We can edit our selection, and now we can see our mask. But if we look over here to the left side, there's a little issue here we have to fix, but the good news is we have tools inside of Edit Selection that can help us. Click on this black brush, and with a nice small soft edge brush, just paint along here and we can repair that. Now that line came to be there due to the fact that we added that 15 pixel radius to the marquee tool. Now we need to save this mask as a channel, and the Edit Selection tool has us covered. Click on the Save button. This is the sky, so we'll just type in sky and click OK. And now you can see it's been added down here. Now we also need the foreground, which is the inversion of the sky. So again, with the Edit Selection panel, click this button right here to invert it. And now we're going to click Save. And this time I'm going to type in foreground and we'll click OK. And now you'll note we have a sky and a foreground saved in our channels. And now at this point, we don't need Edit Selection, so we can click the X to close it. Now come back to the multi-mask panel, click the luminosity mask button. Now I always click on midtones 3 just to protect me from clipping shadows and highlights when I make the balance and contrast adjustments. And now click on the mask calculator button. We need to intersect this with a foreground, so click the X for intersection, click the My Channels button, click foreground, click the equal to make the calculation, and now you can see that midtones 3 mask in the foreground. Output that to a color grading tool by clicking that button. Now I need to go back to the multi-mask panel, so click the X on the color grading tool. Click the luminosity mask button again. We need another midtones 3 for the sky, so click the 3 here. Click on the mask calculator button again. Click X for intersection. Click on the My Channels button. This time we want the sky, so click sky. Click equal to make the calculation, and now we have the midtones 3 in the sky, and output that to a color grading tool by clicking this button. And now we have the sky and the foreground. And now we can make the adjustments, so click on the foreground layer. And now let's adjust the foreground. We'll start by clicking on the shadow button, and I'll take this brightness slider, and we just want to darken up the shadows. Not too much, but I'll take them over to right there, -14. Now I just want to slightly color grade them a little towards the blue side. Now notice my cursor on the color wheel. I'm just going to find an area where I want to click, like right about here, and give that a click, and I drop a puck. And next we'll click on the midtone button, and I want to open up those midtones to right there, 41, and I also want to color grade those. So I'll take my cursor and hover in this area right here, and I think I'll click right about here. Now let's click on the sky layer, and we'll work on the sky. So for the sky, I want to click on the midtone button and just open up the midtones a little bit to right here, +9. And now let's click on the highlight button, and I want to open up the highlights a decent amount over to here, 43. I'll shut off the sky layer. Here's before and here is after. This area over here is a little light, but we could take care of that with some blend diff. So what we can do is click X on the color grading tool so we can get to the multi-mask panel. Nothing changes on the color grading layers. Click on the edit blend diff button. And all I want to do here is click on no lights 2 and watch this area when I do that. I'll click on it right now. See how it just tones that down. Now if I uncheck gray, you can see the before and the after, but that does a really nice job. I don't need the edit blend diff panel now, so I'll click the X to close it. And now let's see an overall before and after. On the combo or CX panel, click this button right here. We started out here and now we end up here. So we're off to a really good start. Up next is some midtone contrast to just the foreground area. Come up to the multi-mask panel, click this button here to get a curves adjustment. Now, we have presets here. This is a drop down. I'm going to click this. I use these presets because they're quick and easy. And I sample some different presets like increase contrast. I'll click the drop down again. Then there's like linear contrast. You could try that. And I tried different presets, but I ended up using increase contrast. Now, I only want to apply this to midtones, and I will use the edit layer mask button to help me, but I want to base it on the image before the contrast. So I have the contrast on it. So I'll come to the combo panel and click on this button right here to put a black hide all mask because I want to base the midtones on the adjustment before midtones contrast. And then we'll come up and click this button where we can adjust our layer mask. And now in real time, we could sample out these midtone masks. Here's midtones 1. Here's midtones 2. Just click on them. That's looking better. And here's midtones 3. And you know what? I like midtones 3 the best. Now I only want it on the foreground in the water area. I'm going to click the X to close adjust layer mask. And now on the Combo 6 panel, click on the Layer Mask Calculator button. I don't want the sky, so click on Sky and click minus, and we subtract out the sky. I think this area is getting a little too light, so we can use Blend Diff to help us. So come up to the Multi-Mask panel and click on this button right here. We go into Edit Blend Diff. Watch this area. I'm going to try No Lights 2. I'm going to click on it. See how that tames this area down a little bit, and I like that. I think the effect's a bit too strong, so I'm going to click right here and pull back on the layer opacity to right there, 88%. Now let me shut off this midtone contrast layer. Here's before and here's after, and I really like that. I don't need Edit Blend Diff, so we can click X to close the panel. Now the next thing I want to do, this area right in here in the lower horizon in the sky, I just want to darken this up a bit. Now to do that, we're going to come up to the Multi-Mask panel, click on the Luminosity Mask button. We're going to find a mask that'll help us to target this area. I know it's going to be lights. This is lights 1. This is lights 2. Now here's lights 3. See how Lights 3 really targets this area nicely. So I'm going to go with that. And then come to this hamburger menu and give it a click and click on this multiply brush button. And now you'll note we have a selection. We have the multiply brush. And I want to change my brush opacity from 100% to 50%. I'll type my 5 key. And now with a nice soft edge brush, what I want to do is just paint across here like that. I have not lifted the brush. I'm going kind of like back and forth, just like that. And now I'm going to drop my brush down to 10%. I'll type my 1 key. And then areas I still think are too light, I'll just brush over those at a lower opacity, like right in here, right in here. And I think that'll be good. Now, the next thing I want to do, you see this salt formation down here? I just want to lighten up the highlights on it. I just want to do some freehand dodging because it's an important element of this image. Right now I have a selection, so let's get rid of that. On the Combo CX panel, click this button to deselect that selection. And then on the Combo CX panel, click the left or right side of the dodge tool. It doesn't matter. I'm going to click the right side. That just gives you a blank pixel layer in the overlay blend mode. And then with a nice small soft edge brush at 10% opacity, if you're not at 10% opacity, type your 1 key and then just look for the highlights and then just paint over the highlights. Now, if you lift your brush and paint again, you'll make the effect a little bit stronger, but just look for the light areas and just paint over them. And then you could lift your brush and paint over them again if you want to make them a little bit stronger. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and show you the ending result, but take your time and get this right because this is an important step. Now, I went ahead and finished this off. This is before the dodging of the salt formation. And now let me turn this layer on. This is after. So again, before and after, but isn't that nice? See how that draws your viewer's eye right to these salt formations. Very important. I went ahead and zoomed way into the image because you see these little waves right here, these little ripples. See the shadow right here? I'd like to darken up these shadows, and to do that, we can use a zone mask. So come up to the multi-mask panel, click on this button, and then what we need to do is sample some of these darker shadow areas. They're not very dark, but click right here and click OK. And now what I want you to do is take this slider, I always call this the Titan slider, grab this slider and drag it to the left, and I'm going to take it the whole way over to right there. See how it really targets these guys? Make sure it's the whole way to the left. But these light areas are actually the shadows of those little waves or ripples. And now what I want to do is output this mask as a selection, and I want to output it to a burn tool. So you could click the left or right side of this burn tool. I'm going to do the right side. Either side works. You'll note we have a selection, and now I want 10% opacity. I am at 10%. Type your 1 key if you're not. And then with a nice soft edge brush, we could just paint across these shadows right in here. You see that? I'm going to hit that another time just to really just darken it up. And now let me shut off this layer. So look right in there. Here is before and here is after, but see how it just really darkens up those shadows. Now I went ahead and zoomed back out. So look in this area right here. Right now you don't see the burning effect on these little waves. Now let me turn on this layer. Here is after. Again, before and after, but you see how that really helps out there. It's a small change in the image, but I think it's something that is really needed. It makes a big difference. Now, I don't need this selection, so I'm going to click this button on the Combo CX panel just to deselect the selection. And now, see these shadow areas on these waves down here, and some of the shadows down in the bottom of the image. I want to darken those. I'm going to do this a different way. I will be burning, but I'll show you a different method. Now go to your Combo CX panel, and now the burn tool here again has 2 sides, but this time we do not want the right side. We do need the left side. So let's click on the left side. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to use Blend Diff to help me target these tones in here. So what we're going to do is come up to the multi-mask panel, click on the Edit Blend Diff button, and then click on this double arrow magenta button. Right now the whole image is magenta, and that's because the whole image is selected. I have not applied Blend Diff yet. What we want to do, it's a dark tone, right? So we're going to click on Darks 1, and wherever you see the magenta overlay, that is sitting in the Darks 1 area. Now if I click on Darks 2, you can see that range is narrowed, but here's these waves. But see how nicely this Darks 2 is targeting these waves? Not so much down here. It'll be more of a freehand burning down in this area. Now, by the way, the reason we are able to see this magenta overlay is because we have a pixel layer here. It's a gray pixel layer. Now, I do want to say, if I would have used the right side of the burn tool, if I would have clicked there, I would have had a transparent pixel layer, and the overlay would not show up on a transparent pixel layer, only on a pixel layer like this gray one. So we're targeting Darks 2. I don't need Edit Blend If, so let's click the X. And note that the overlay goes away, but we still have Blend If on the layer. And now on these areas right here, I want to paint at 30% opacity. Right now I'm at 10. I'll type my 3 key, and then I'm just going to paint across these waves here just to darken them up. I may hit this one another time, maybe get this one another time. Let me shut off this layer. Here is before and here's after. See how it's really just targeting those waves? And now I want to drop my brush to 10% opacity. I'll type my 1 key. And what I want to do is just paint over some of these darker areas right in here, just to make this look a little nicer with a little bit of burning in here to bring out some definition. I'll paint up in here a little bit. I'll make my brush a little larger, and let's just darken off this area right down in here, like maybe up into here. I think that'll look good. Maybe just right in there just a little bit. Now let me shut off this layer. Here is before and here is after. Again, before and after, and I like it. And now let's turn our attention back to this salt formation. Let's give it some detail. So to do that, we're going to use a clarity action. If your TK actions aren't open, click a TK button on the combo or CX panel, and then look for clarity. Give that a click. A high pass filter comes up. And what I want you to do, you can drag this slider. I know the value I want for radius, and that is 33.1. So I'm just going to type in 33.1, and we'll click OK. Now, right now, we have detail going over the entire image, and we don't want that. We only want it on the salt formation. So what we're going to do is find your tools and click on the Object Selection tool. And I have mine set for lasso. This is a drop-down. You can change it to rectangle, but leave it on lasso. Sample all layers. And what we want to do is just lasso around this rock formation, just like this. And it should find that really nicely, and it does. And then all we need to do is come up to the Combo or CX panel, click on the Layer Mask Calculator, click Active Selection, and click this button to apply it. And now it's only on the salt formation. Now let me shut off this layer. Here's before, here's after. And the image sort of takes on a three-dimensional effect. And I love the fact that we have this salt formation paired up against this distant mountain back here. It adds some nice depth into this image. It's really beautiful. Now the next thing I want to do is color grade the entire image. Just bring out some overall beautiful warmth and maybe a little bit of coolness in the shadows. So here's what we'll do. We're going to come up to the multi-mask panel and click on this button right here to give us a color grading tool. And I'll start off with the shadows. So what I want to do is click on the shadow button. I don't have any midtones 3 mask on here, just the white mask. I'm going to be very gentle with these adjustments. What I want to do is just darken up the shadows a little bit over to right there, -5. And then I just want to cool them off. So you see my cursor, I'm going to click like right here. And now let's go to midtones. I'm going to click on the midtone button. I just want to slightly darken the midtones. I'm going to take this brightness slider and drag it to right there, -2. And now let's give them some warm color grade. So I'm going to click like right about here. And now I'll click on the highlight button, and I just want to open up the highlights a little bit. I think that'll look really pretty. And I'm going to take it over to right there, 10. So let me shut off this layer. Here's before and here's after. Isn't that nice? Again, before and after. Now, next up, I want to do a saturation adjustment in some of the weaker orangish tones in the sky. They're going to fall in the reds, so here's what we do. I need to get to my multi-mask panel, click the X on the color grading tool. Nothing changes on color grading layers. Click on the Saturation Vibrance Mask button. I want to target less saturated colors, so that'll be Vibrance. Here's Vibrance 1, 2. I'm just trying to narrow down the range. Here's 3. And here's 4. This is the range that I want. And all we need to do is output this to a hue saturation adjustment layer. Click this button and then click this drop down. Click on reds. And what we want to do is increase the saturation of reds. See what happens when I do that. And I don't want to go too crazy here. This is going to be subtle. I'm just going to take it over to right here, +38. Now look up in this area. I'm going to shut this off. Here's before. Watch how these colors start to pop right up in here. And here's after. See how those colors pop? I really like it. Just a few more steps and we're done. Next up, a vignette. If your TK actions aren't open, click a TK button. On the combo or CX panel, click Vignette. A Gaussian blur dialog comes up. I always just click OK. It defaults at 30% layer opacity. It's in a multiply blend mode. Let me shut off the layer. Here's before, here's after. I want to keep it out of the darkest dark. So we'll click on Edit Blend If on the multi-mask panel. And let's click on No Darks 1. We'll keep it out of the darkest darks. Now let me shut off this layer. Here's before and here's after. I don't need the Edit Blend If panel right now, so I'll click X to close it. What I want to do next is close off the top of the image. The bottom of the image is okay. And to do that, hold down your Shift key and click on the multiply button on the combo or CX panel. That gives you a curves adjustment layer with no adjustment in the multiply blend mode. It's called a multiply brush. You can paint on this mask and darken different areas of the image. It's really cool. But in this case, I'm using it for closing off the top. Next up, come to your tools and click on your gradient tool. Make sure you click on linear gradient, click your drop down, and if you have your TK gradients, open up that folder and click on the first button. That's all you need to do. And what we want to do is like click right here, click and drag down. Hold your Shift key to constrain this to go straight. And we want to drag down to say like right about here. And now if you don't want to see this line, you can click on the curve icon. That'll go away. Now the effect is too strong. So what we can do is take the layer opacity the whole way off, and then just build it up slowly and stop where you think it looks good. And I think it looks good right here at 24%. Let me shut off this layer. Here's before, here's after. Isn't that nice? It just keeps our viewer into the frame. Now, the last thing I want to do is lighten up some of this area in the sky near the horizon and maybe some of these clouds up in here. And to do that, I'll use a luminosity mask. So come up to the multi-mask panel, click on the luminosity mask button, and it's a light. This is lights 1, here's lights 2, and lights 2 targets the area that I want. I'm going to output this to a dodge tool. You can use the left or right side. I'll use the right side. And with a nice soft edge brush, I want 10% opacity. I am at 10%. If you're not, type your 1 key. And with that nice soft edge brush, just kind of paint across here. That's one pass. Let me paint it again. Here's another pass. I'll make the brush a little larger, maybe paint up in here, maybe once. And let me shut off this layer. Here's before and here's after. Again, before and after. But see how it just lights up that area? And maybe I'll give it one more pass down in here. And I think that looks good. Again, here's before and here's after. Again, before and after. Now I still have a selection. I'll go ahead and click this button on the combo or CX panel to deselect. The edit is finished. Let's see an overall before and after. So on the combo or CX panel, click this button right here. We started out here and now we end up here. Now I'm really happy with the way this edit turned out. And I do hope that you download the image and the PDF notes and give this edit a try. It's a great way of learning how to use the TK9 plugin for Photoshop. Well, there it is, everyone. Another TK Friday comes to a close. I hope you enjoyed today's full edit tutorial. If you did, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And if you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe. Click that bell notification icon. Click all so that you receive all notifications. And then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll get notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. I'll see you all right here next time. But until then, happy editing.